Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luka Cee. Now here he is, Luka Cee. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing this evening? We have got a really cool show here tonight. I've got a real special guest. I'm sure a lot of you recognize this guy right here, Wes Hurst from Wes's Model Car Corner. And if you're part of his Facebook, he does a weekly show at night. He sells great, sells all these wonderful kits. But he's such a big part of this hobby, and he's doing something that's coming out in the next week or so that's really great for a lot of model car builders. And he's just been around for a long time, doing great stuff for the hobby. And he's also a really cool, him and Lisa are great old friends of mine from years ago when I lived back in Virginia. They had a little hobby shop in Hillsville, Virginia, that the boss, Dennis, and me used to like to roll down there and bother him all the time and buy kits from him and stuff. It was the coolest little model car shop ever. But I could go on and on about Wes, but I'm going to have him go on and on about Wes, because this is what we want to do, Wes. We want to hear what happened. How did you fall into all this? What drove you to, first of all, get into building model cars and then really make it your life? You and Lisa have made it your passion in your life for years, even long before you got known on the internet as just the Model Car Corner.
Hey man, thanks, man. Hey, first, thanks for having me. And
I've been looking forward to this.
I'm old, and I've been around this hobby for what maybe sometimes you think about too many years. I've been in the hobby itself, building and everything, for over 55 years. And what got me into it was my cousin that was a great model car builder up in Baltimore. And I just would watch him build those models, and they looked so darn cool. And I'm like, wow, wish I could do something like that. So I got one time, and my dad helped me get started. And I did the first one. He helped me do it. And then after that, because back then there was no snap type models. I mean, it was a tube of Tester's glue. They didn't make the blue kind. They only made the orange kind. And that and Pactor cement, man. How about that? How about that?
Yeah, I remember
cement. And hell, I remember my first kits. I didn't even paint them. They were molded in white, and I built them that way, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And then you start learning how to paint them, and then and hey, that's back when Tester's little square bottles and Pactor little round bottles. Pactor was always different. It was a round bottle instead of a square bottle. And so, I mean, that's what really started flirting me on in the hobby, and I kept it going, and I always kept messing with them. Hey, it getting the dead of the winter up there in the mountains, where we lived then. I'm in Tennessee now, but up there in Virginia then, we were right off the Blue Ridge Parkway, 3,000 feet in elevation, and we didn't just get a snow, we got these snows. And so you had to have something to do as a kid, or not you're going to be go crazy. And I got tired of carrying hay bales and working on a farm all the time. And so anyhow, really kept me into models. And then I think another thing that really pushed me into models is when they came out with the MPC Richard Petty 1/16 scale Dodge Charger.
Oh, really? Yeah, that great thing.
Oh, man. And of course, it's been out now. But when I bought mine, it was a freaking clear body.
Yep. That was the only way you could get it for all those years.
Yeah. And I bought that thing, and my mom would raise Cain because I would sit down there in the back corner of the basement and paint model cars. And she said the smell would come up there in the house. She didn't like it. And my dad even told me one day, he said, why don't we just open this window down here and let a little cool air, fresh air come in here? Because he said, if that air gets upstairs, he said, your mom's going to raise Cain on you. And, hey, I got into it that way, stayed into it, then started working, kind of didn't ever get out of it, but dropped back and just did them in the winter. And then I went to a couple of shows, and then we had a mutual friend. We know George Spangler.
Oh, Georgie Spangler. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And matter of fact, talked to him the other day. He
Did
said,
you?
"Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah."
Oh
And
man, I'd love to see George again.
yeah, and matter of fact, he's coming down this way in a couple of weeks,
Oh
and
really?
coming to the shop. Yeah, and big time racer.
Yeah,
And
he's still racing.
no, he's out of the racing. But gosh, he was a ball of fire back in those days.
Oh
You know.
God, I got the opportunity, just getting off track here since you mentioned George. I had a great racing experience with him when he had that Fairmont, that 6-cylinder
Yeah.
Fairmont, which is still like, I wish I had pictures of it because
As
it's
far
like
as I know, they still got that car.
I heard he wadded it.
Well, they wadded it up and they put a clip on it, and
Oh,
it put another rear quarter on it and everything. And I think that thing is sitting in a building down there on that farm.
oh man, that was like I remember when I first saw him racing it at New River Valley Speedway. It's now what is it now? It's yeah, that's right. Or Pulaski County Speedway for long timers. But yeah,
Yeah,
when I first saw that, and I knew who George was, met him through Mark Agee and everybody when
yeah,
he came out there, and well, it was a whole big model community we had in
yeah,
that area,
absolutely,
and he was
absolutely.
definitely a major center of it. But because I was on with Scotty Williams, I got on a race team with him and was doing
Yeah,
that. So I had my NASCAR license, and George says, "Well, you got a NASCAR license? You want to come help me down in Wilkesboro? You gonna
yeah.
go race at Wilkesboro? Heck yeah!" We took that Fairmont down there, and we didn't make the race because the engine went. But what a great weekend! He gave me an opportunity to go down there and play with that car because I was fascinated by that thing. Oh
Now,
man, I loved it.
one of those races
Love that
at
car.
Wilkesboro, one of those races, Wilkesboro, he made the race on that one, and I was a sponsor on that car. I was on the quarter panel
Oh
of that
yeah.
car.
Oh,
Yeah.
how cool.
And,
Yeah,
but anyhow, yeah,
well, back
oh, look,
to George. That sent us. Sorry, everybody, but that's an old friend. Hey George, if you're watching,
yeah, man,
thanks for that
absolutely.
experience. But
Yeah, brother. And anyhow, that helped, and I got into really getting into the shows and getting into the hobby. And then I was buying so darn many model cars. Then people just coming to the house all the time and just, hey, can I buy these from you? Can I buy these from you? And they're like, yeah. I told Lisa one day, I said, we got so many people. And I said, I'm tired of them coming to the house. I said, we ought to just open up a shop. Well, right around the corner from where we lived in Hillsville, and there come a building open. And I knew the guy that owned it for years, and it was a carpet shop. Remember that thing had 3 different kinds of carpet in the shop because it showed you the different grades?
Yeah, I remember that. Like in the back room, especially when we
Yeah.
where we had that model meeting.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
that's right. I forgot about it. I remember you telling that was an old carpet shop.
yeah. And so he had he made us a deal on renting it, and this old cinder block building. But hey, I went and got some shelving and everything. We got started there, and it wasn't a very big shop, but daggone, we piled that thing full.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have a nook, cranny, corner had something sticking, hanging in it. Had that one whole bullet pegboard that was nothing but decals.
Yep.
That's back when J&J, that's when Jack and John were in business and producing so many decals.
Yeah, I bought a lot of J&J stuff from you there.
Yeah,
that was what I loved about it was you had all that, what was available for aftermarket back in those days. You had it all.
And because of my relatives living in Baltimore, man, I got to be good friends with Norman Weber at Replicas and Miniatures in Glen Burnie, and we go over to Norman's house, and I'd order some bunch of stuff, and sometimes pick it up local, and sometimes it'd be shipped. But we kept the tire stencils and all that kind of stuff that he made back then. That nobody had, nobody. And there wasn't Facebook.
I still have those tire stencils, man.
Oh man, I've got mine up here. They're golden. Yeah. Oh yeah. You can't beat them. All that kind of stuff that came in back then, and and it had all the lines of Model Master paint, and we kept all that kind of stuff. And then we started carrying with Dave Dodge. We started carrying Model Car World paint, and especially Dave made the spray cans, the Martin Senior spray cans. We carried that. It did really well. And then we branched out and we bought that Winston Cup souvenir trailer and worked races. And
I was still living there when you bought that trailer. I remember when that transition was going on.
man, we just kept rolling and getting. And then all of a sudden one day, I got a promotion at work, and I was working for the bank, and this guy had been talking to me about buying out the shop. And so I asked him, I said, well, I'm going to have to be gone a lot right now for the next little bit. So I said, are you still interested? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I'm going to keep this much of the product, but I'll sell you this. And then, and then he wanted to put a non-compete clause in there. Well, he bought the shop, and, back then, heck, in the 90s, we had a website with a shopping cart and a secured server and all that back on it back then in the 90s. We were ahead of the game. All our inventory on it, and which is better than saying that. We don't have all our inventory on it now yet because we got too much. Heck, we got over 8,000 model car kits in stock.
Jeez.
And so anyhow, long story short, we did the transition, sold it. I kept modeling. In a couple of years, he had gone out of business, and I went back to my attorney. I said, hey, he signed a non-compete clause, and I did, but he's closed the shop. And he said, does he have any assets left? And I said, well, I don't know. He said, we'll find out if he does. And sure enough, he still did, but the business had gone defunct. And so since the business license was gone, we could go back into business. And so we said, let's get it. We get, and so by this time, Facebook was kicking off, doing pretty good. And I was doing some of the auctions on Facebook, man, we just kept growing the business and kept investing in ourselves, and just kept growing. And we didn't take any money out of the business. Every time that the thing made it, we just flipped it back into more product and just kept buying more product. Got hooked up with some bigger distributors, and not right now with the big three distributors in the U.S. Two of the big three, we run in the top 5 model car purchases for them.
Awesome.
Some right now in the U.S. So that's not bragging. We're just very happy that we've grown that way, and so that helps us for pricing, because when we can buy in quantity and save ourselves on the shipping and everything else, that just helps us be very competitive, offer a good pricing, and we ship worldwide. I mean, we got customers that buy regularly from us in Australia, Japan, New Zealand, and England, and Italy, and Canada, and let's see, where else have we got? The other day I used to call it, still would call it Czechoslovakia. We've got a lot of those people in there, and we got actually some customers in Poland now. So
wow. That's cool.
It's kind of neat. It's hard to believe. I'm like, why would you want to buy a Revell Germany kit from me? It's made in Poland. And I'm shipping to Poland. But and then Rick Salvino and I got hooked up. Hey, one time Rick Salvino and I were doing business with each other and didn't know it. Was doing it through Bobby McCulloch Racing Collectibles. And Bobby worked all the racetracks, and we bought off of him at the racetracks once we got there and set up. And they were selling us these little Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, and the darn things, when you turn them over on the bottom, it says Salvino something on it. Salvino Racing. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And that was Rick. So we've been very fortunate, very blessed. I would never made it through all this if it wouldn't been for Lisa. I think people think that I'm a big supporter of the hobby, and we literally do this because we love the hobby. But I think a lot of people don't realize how big supportive and Lisa is in this hobby. You know it from coming all those years, coming to the hobby shop.
Was.
Hillbilly Model Car Club, and
Hillbilly Model Car Club, and the Grand Fun one.
Grand Fun one, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually, man, that first, you put on that model show with we had just started the club, and I remember that first night, we had quite a few guys there. We all met it in the back there.
About 12, 14 of us, yeah.
Yep. And hey, you want to do a show? Heck yeah. You got that, you just down the street there, got that FDW. And that was a fantastic show. But that, and the thing that show, I remember Dennis and I we brought a bunch of kits and parts and things and pieces that we were selling there. We had a couple tables there, and I remember the thing about it, just a little bit of gloom over that thing was the weekend that Davey Ellison died.
It was
that couple of days later, because we had these Davey Ellison kits and sold them like that, and we didn't crank them up. Other people were immediately cranking them up. We had Dennis and I had gotten a hold of a couple cases of this special Mac Tool Davey Ellison car that week. And but that's where I can always remember when we had that show and stuff. But that show was great right out of the box.
And we always had a good turnout. We gave away some fantastic trophies. We had people there like Ricky Couch and them, which just took the modeling, the quality of the models there for a show, just took it to a whole new level. Yeah. And never forget, Ray Denny was there. Ray. And with that pipe, and I mean, but we you know, and if it wouldn't have been for Lisa and a lot of that, it would have never come into fruition. It would have never come. No, nope. She was the strong bone behind it, and my hat's been off to her. I'll just be honest with this, and I'll say it right now in front of good Lord and everybody. I would never have today what I've got if it wasn't for Lisa. She's been a good supporter. We've had some business ventures that didn't go like we had planned, and we've had plenty of them that went better than planned. But she was always there through the thick and thin of it, and that's why we've done so good, and that's why we're doing these next projects. I think people don't understand in this hobby. For a long time, you kept hearing everybody say, "Our hobby's dying. Our hobby's dying. Our hobby's dying." Our hobby is not done. What the heck happened was we had a bunch of greedy exosummicons, and I won't say that word bad, but we had a bunch of greedy people back then that were raping our industry. They were actually raping the backside of the industry, of the hobby. Yep. They were raping it. Fred Wagonall was right in there at the top of the spooks. With Action Hobby, and they couldn't get enough, and then they took over Team Caliber, and it's like no matter what they got, they couldn't control enough and do enough, and a lot of people never really understood that why it was probably its best time in the hobby for the Revell part of it when Crayola owned it. Crayola just bought Revell Monogram RMX. The only reason in Revell Germany, they bought them so that they could get Crayola crayons into Europe. Yeah. And I remember that whole deal. And it was and then the next thing you know, you remember we had the number 95 Crayola NASCAR kit. Yeah. And a car that never existed. Yeah. But we had so many good things. Of those. Really? I never got one. And well, I wouldn't put that on a to-do list. But or definitely not a bucket list. But no. We had so many people in that era. Now Crayola didn't do that, but we had others that did. We had so many in that era that were literally just in it for the money. It's called Show Me the Money. It was literally Show Me the Money, because NASCAR was hot. Modeling and any kind of replica stuff was hot. And it was all about just show me the money. And other than that, they could care less about the hobby. And for us, it's the opposite. My whole goal in this thing was trying to make sure when we got back running, keeping the hobby affordable. Hell, if you've got enough money, anybody can do the tooling right now to make a $200 kit. Okay, build a big scale kit with a lot of detail to it, and the tooling, and the way everything has changed now about how we're making molds and everything else. Heck, it's not a problem. It's not a problem to make a $150 kit or $100 kit, but try to make a really nice kit that stays under $50. Yeah. Work on that. I mean, people think about how much gas has gone up, how much, groceries has gone up, how much this has gone up. But in our end of the industry, in the business, in the hobby, how many things can you do right now that you purchase an item that's really under $100? I look at these people that do those, like a little star dot type paintings, where you take the dot and you stick it on there. My wife does some of those, Lisa does, and then she's big into cross stitching, and she does beautiful work. I don't know how her eyes hold up and do it. I mean, heck fire. If it wasn't for these, things right here, we all got a set of those nowadays. And one for that, I could build a set of model, build a model
No.
car. But when she goes and buys something, she buys the thread and the just the linen fabric just to do it on, and stuff like that. She easily can get in that $50-$60 bracket right out of the gate, and she's just getting started. So I think people just aren't, anything you do right now has got an expense to it as a hobby.
It's
But
just
trying
how
to
it
make
is.
something, trying to figure out a way to offer the kids and the hobby at a realistic value. That's something like we're tickled to death now at the shop. We're a Grex airbrush dealer.
Oh yeah,
Only one
that's
in our territory, only one in our area. And they're selling like crazy. I missed the boat
bet.
on it. I'll be honest. I ordered, and I should have doubled my order on my first order because we stayed sold out on some of the
Oh
products
wow, really?
since the first day they've unloaded. And so when you got that people that are that good, it's just so hard for everything to come back to you, and you're trying to pick up with all the new stuff. But I really believe right now our hobby is at a great crossroads.
Oh yes.
Technology has helped it immensely. The computer industry is gone wild with it, and with what's in social media and everything else. And speaking of that, I'm sorry it's hitting up, and I got my speakers on, but it seems like somebody's just about to drive me crazy on the other end on social media. But and that's because we posted a bunch of kits on there this evening. So
I saw that.
it never fails when you do that. It goes wild at night. I think people don't understand right now what all's gone on and how it's enhancing our hobby.
Oh
And
yes, absolutely.
the big thing, I mean, well, look at where 3D printing's done for our hobby.
Oh
Um,
boy, yeah.
and look at what social media has done for it, because now you can find products. You used to you'd look at something somewhere at a show and you say, "Where'd you get that? How'd you find that?" And nowadays you don't have to do that. You don't have to wait till you go to a show to see it. Hey, you already see somebody else has got it built and already posted it on their Facebook page. So that kind of stuff's really big, and I think that's going to be really really good for us going forward. So I'm looking forward to a big year this coming year in the industry, not just because of what we're doing, but we were very fortunate this year to be at the everybody calls it the Nurses Show. It's NRHSA show in Las Vegas, and the National Retail Hobby Shop Association is what that stands for. And it was great for us to be there this year and get to be there as a manufacturer.
Yes.
And beside our good friends Rick Salvino and Jim Rogers, and Chris was there also from the office. And but seeing all the new products that's coming out this coming year, whether it's model cars or it's model airplanes or it was RC, all of that comes together and it supports our hobby, and it's what makes it good. Because when money's getting invested and put back into other businesses in it, then that makes our hobby grow. And that's what happened before. People weren't reinvesting their money. They were just literally taking all the money and running with it.
Yeah.
And, if they would have been investing in more of the technology and the tooling here in the United States, then a lot of that stuff wouldn't have been made overseas, because but they weren't doing it, and because they're trying to scrape all the money off the top. And nowadays you're seeing the companies that are wanting to invest in themselves, and that's what's making the difference, brother. That's
Yes.
it.
Yes. Well, you look at Salvinos JR Models, our buddies, and you look at Atlantis, and you look at Mobius, and look at these little companies that couldn't be done back in the day. You couldn't go up against,
No, you weren't
Big
gonna be able to go
Ravel,
up against-
Monogram, AMT, MPC, as far back as it goes. And now there's these little companies that are really doing great things and putting out great product for us. And it's done by people who truly love. You and I, we know Rick and Jim and personally talk to them all the time. You know how enthusiastic those two guys are. They're truly in love with this stuff. They
Absolutely.
are in it for, and they're doing the same thing. They're everything they do, they put it right back into it and building something great. And
absolutely.
that is just, and which brings us, and I don't know how soon you're ready for this, is
okay.
You know what? Something really cool through your relationship with Rick and Jim Salvinos JR Models. And what do we got? The Builders Club, right?
Yeah, the Builders Club.
Give a plug to the Builders Club. We always see each other there. You guys have done something that's right over there over your shoulder, something that I have been excited for. That thing right there, which, boy, oh boy, we sure do thank you jumping in on that and really kicking that off. How many of you know about this? This is something, it's different. It's something different. The modifieds. Even if you're not into model car, race cars and stuff like that, what they did is really cool. You know, meaning Wes and the guys over at Salvinos JR Models. It's bringing something to the table that just never has been done and probably was never going to be done.
No, and there's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just
yeah. Rick said if I wouldn't have come in and supported, he said would have never happened. He said they had so much going on that there was no way that they could have done something like it. And Rick told me, he said, listen, he said, you got the connections we don't. I'll just say this: if it wasn't for Frank Fleming and Fleming Family Motors, Fleming Family Racing Motorsports, that's Chris and Frank Fleming, both those brothers, and then a couple other people. Glenn Hurd helped, Burt Myers helped, but mostly Flemings. If it wasn't for them, this thing would have never happened. Frank let us use the race shop to measure the cars. Be many evenings I would be coming in from work, and it's down in Mount Airy where Lisa's from. Of course, Lisa's family and the Flemings go back way when.
Oh, that's cool.
And Lisa's dad and Frank and Chris's dad were good friends, and they of course it's just right around the corner. It wasn't a mile and a half from where Lisa was raised. Her home place is where the race shop is still at. And I called Frank and I said, Frank, I got a problem and I need this and this measured. And he said, well, come on by, I'll unlock the shop. I'm gonna go home and eat. And if you get done before I get back, you know how to lock it up, cut the lights off. And if not,
cool.
when I get back. And I'd be in there at nights, and Jim would have given me a list of stuff that need measured and pictures taken. We took pictures of every part of these race cars. Every part that was measured had a picture taken of it, so that we made sure when we duplicated the part that we had our measurement right to scale and that we knew what it was literally supposed to look like. Now, here's the only glitch in that is that there's a lot of different manufacturers for different things, but there's some things that are very, very basic to it. The brakes, the Wildwood brakes that everybody runs and open wheel modifieds, those are standard. Most everybody runs in the Tour now. And if you run in the Tour, you have to run the dual cooler in it that has the large radiator that also is your oil cooler, and you've got your electric fans and everything for it. You can't run an external oil cooler anymore in the Wheeling series because one driver got burnt real bad one time with one. The rear push bar on it's got to be the aluminum channel bar, and it can only has a certain length, because we got into that one time. We're like, something's not adding up in our measurements. And Frank said, well, come back out here and measure the darn thing. It's right there sitting in there. And it was very fortunate. They have 6 or 7 race cars in their shop. One of them was stripped completely, sitting in a jig, and checking the frame on it because it had been involved in a wreck, and they had stripped the car all the way down to the bare chassis, and it was sitting in a jig. So we got to check it and measure it all from right there from ground up.
Oh, wow. So nice.
We got to build a race car, a real one-to-one race car, and measure it all to make our model. And that's what made a difference. And Jim Rogers did an outstanding job.
Oh, he did. I don't know if you know this, but a few years ago when I first met Jim, he had the prototype of that. So I got to hold it in my hand, the 3D printed prototype of that. He says, and what do you think of this? And I'm like, this is incredible. I have been excited for this model for, I guess it's been 3 years or 4 years or something. When Jim
Yeah.
showed me that, I was just, wow, that this is going to be so cool. I'm so glad it's happening.
Well, and again, hats off to Lisa, because Lisa's the one that was cool with us turning loose of the money for the investment to make this thing to come together. But also worked out. We just had so many things. I guess it's one of those things, when it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because we called and talked to the people at Hoosier, because all modifieds run Hoosier tires.
Yeah.
That's the only tires run on it. And they're the only ones that make a decent tire for the thing, and they're the only ones that make that big wide tire like that. So we called and talked to the lady. She said, "Send me an email with the pictures and stuff, and tell me what it is you want to do." So I talked to her, and she was in advertising and marketing department, and I did, and she said, "I'll be back to you tomorrow." I said, "Okay, cool." So the next day, about 11, I'm starting to get a little itchy. A little after lunchtime, I'm starting to dance a little bit on the floor. I'm like, well, I keep checking my email. I don't have anything back. I couldn't take it anymore, because they're in Indiana, and I'm like, damn, I'm going to call. So I called the lady, and it was about 3:00 our time, and she said, "I'm working on your project right now." And she said, "Tell me a little bit again about this." And I went back and explained some of it. She said, "Listen, I had to take a late lunch. I'll have your reply back to you within an hour." And I'm thinking, okay, it's a little after 3, so that means a little after 4. Okay, I can dig that. I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "I really appreciate your time." She said, "You're very welcome. I'll be talking to you soon." So I'm thinking, man, so about 4:00, you couldn't hold me down with a ton of bricks. And because I'm thinking, man, we've already done the artwork on this thing. What the heck am I going to do? I've already done the artwork. I've already done the decals, or set the print for them.
Oh, boy.
I said, "What am I going to do if I have to go back and black all that stuff out?" About 10 minutes after 4, my phone goes, "Bing." I don't know, it's an email. And I looked on there. And about that time that I'm getting ready to open the email on my iPhone, then all of a sudden it pops up, and it's this Hoosier Tire calling me, Hoosier Race Tires. And I'm like, oh my God. I said, "It's either really, really good, or it's just really, really, really bad." And she feels bad about turning it down, And I'm like, God. I said, "Yeah, this is Wes." I said, "How may I help you?" And she told her name. I'm going to say it right now over the phone over this, but she said, "Listen, I sent you back your email. We think it's outstanding what you're wanting to do. No worry, you have complete permission to do anything you want to do."
Wow, nice.
And then I said, "Thank you so much." And she said, "But I forgot to include something else. So I was sending you another email." She said, "Here's all the graphic artwork you need to do, anything you need to work with on it."
Oh, nice.
She said, "This is even the new artwork that works for the race teams uniforms and everything, on anything, any patches or anything." She said, "If there's anything else you want to use and you need it," she said, "Here, you've got all the artwork that you would need."
Man.
And I said, "I can't thank you much." And she said, "These things are so cool." She said, "I've never built a model car in my life." But she said, "We're all talking about it here at corporate headquarters." And she said, "This thing is so cool. We all might have to pitch in and try to figure out if we could build one of the darn things."
That is so cool.
And I asked her, and I said, "Well, so let me ask you a question." I said, "So how many are actually have an office inside the corporate building?" She said, "There's 9 of us." And I said, "Well, rest assured, you'll have 9 or more models there for each one of your desks to put on top of it." She said, "Oh, we would love it." She said, "We would absolutely love it." So yeah, great people. So that just kind of spurred it along.
You're watching the Luka Cee channel on YouTube. Well, we're back, and I tell you, this is really a really great inside story. Basically, how a kit comes about. A lot of model builders, you don't realize what it takes, even just the simple little decals that are in a kit, especially race car models, of all the dealings that you have to do when you're putting out a model kit. It's just tons of stuff you have to make sure everything is copacetic with everyone. And it is neat how like all the people at Hoosiers, how they most people they that are into cars, into racing, when they see something about model cars, they always those are cool. Everybody gets giddy, like a kid again when they see a little
Oh
miniature
yeah,
car.
absolutely. And we were just so fortunate. Then our ties to the Nolan family all come from Corning. Some people that are on the race team and a big work over in Corning and have machine tool technology done for them. So that was we locked that all in. And then of course the Flemings helped a lot. And it has all kind of just started gelling together really pretty quickly. And then the Nolan family, they were great about it, and they're like, what can we do to help you? And I said, well, let me do your car. I mean, here's a young man that was really young at the time when we first started this thing. He's just since graduated from college in accounting, doing his master's now in accounting, but a good young race car driver. Started out running quarter midgets and took his number off of Burt Myers and them. And Burt Myers is Jason's team, the 4 car, had his picture taken when I think he was 10 or 11 years old with Jason Myers on the modified. And so they called their race team FNR Motorsports, and which stands for Filthy North Racing, because the Myers family is known as the Dirty South Racing. And so, I mean, they really, it's just amazing how it all locked in and went together. And, we've been very fortunate with that. Again, the Fleming family, because of Lisa's ties with them and everything, has been awesome. They have just been over backwards to help us. Heck, we had them on a show one night for about an hour. And they come in, both of them, on their phones and stuff, and on their computers from out of Mount Airy. So just all of that kind of stuff kind of goes together. And I think people don't realize it. I mean, you're talking like Burt Myers, 10 times he's been the champion at Bowman Gray Stadium at Madhouse. 2 times Smart Modified Tour champion. Frank Fleming has got, I forget how many wins. Of course, he's won big time, like at Wilkesboro and all those kind of places when he drove the 07 Hayes Jeweler car for Speedy and them. He was a Busch Grand National driver back in the day. I mean, just very fortunate to have the ties to those kind of people that helped us put this project on. And if it wouldn't have been for all those people all contributing their little parts to it, we would have never had enough on the backside probably to make it all work so smoothly and come together. And then Rick one day, because people just kept saying, Rick, when are you going to do the modified? When are you going to do the modified?
That was one of them.
Yeah. And finally Rick just come to me one day. He said, do you want to do it on your own? And I said, yes, if I can afford to swing it, I could. Yeah, you can do it. He said, oh, it's not that big a problem, like he does. And he said, you can do this and this and this, and it'll all come together, and you do this and this, and it's all going to come together, and you're going to do great with it. And you got the ties. We don't know anybody in it. And he said, be realistic. We got ourselves going on with so much stuff now and got so busy. He said, we'd never be able to do this. And of course, we were fortunate at that time too. Jim had some idle time, so he enjoyed doing it.
Yeah,
and
I know he was always showing me stuff. He was having a ball with it.
Oh yeah, and so we it was really good, and it made us all 3 have a very good special relationship together, and so we feel really truly blessed. Also, just a little something now that any day now we should get a notice that the molds will be in the harbor to be unloaded. And so we're going to get ready to go into production here for too long. We're very fortunate. We teamed up also with Cardiograph in Italy for decals.
Yeah, good ones to go with.
And Rick said the only thing he asked in this kit, he said, you remember, he said, your name's on it and our name's on it. So let's not compromise. And let's make sure let's do it and let's do the thing right. And I agreed. And when we looked at there's a lot of good options on decals. I'm not putting anybody down.
Oh yeah,
a lot of good options on it. But the biggest problem with these kits are for this type of race car. This race car has the same exact components going on to it as any other race car, but it's at about 68% of regular size of a normal race car. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have the rest of the body and everything else to go with it to put other stuff at it. So it's all very compact. And yet it's a car that's got over 600 horsepower, weighs 2,650 pounds, sits 2.5 inches off of the hard top. The bottom of the car has to clear by 2.5 inches, 14-inch off-center frame. And it is literally what they call a ground pounder.
Yes.
It is a ground
Boy,
pounder. And for those people that
need to watch race.
And if you've never been to a true modified race live 1-to-1, my gosh, you owe it to yourself to go do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they will put on a show for you. And if you're anywhere close, you're in the stadium, you can feel the daggone things shake when they go by.
I got to that weekend that George took me to Wilkesboro. I was in the Sweeney Brothers pits. So we hung out down there, and when the modifieds ran, I got to stay down like just behind the wall and watch the modifieds run from the pit road. Oh wow, that was exciting. That was some racing.
I was at Wilkesboro this year for the racetrack revival for the modifieds.
I bet you. Yeah, that's right. You did say. I figured you would be. I wouldn't even question that.
Yeah, and we're all our connections
so great.
now.
That's so great that they got that going again. That modified race was nuts.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's unreal.
If I was still living there, I'd have been there with you.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I think about everybody else that's in the racing and on the East Coast was there. I've never seen such a crowd of people, and it wasn't ready to handle it. But they did a fantastic job. Well, how about if we show some people a little bit what we're doing?
I would think that's a great idea.
Okay, this is one of the prototypes that we actually built. Okay.
Look at that baby.
So let's show a little bit what we've done here so people can get a look. This is what's called your front fan panel. A lot of them call that. A lot of them will call them the flip hood on the front, and basically it's because you've got those couple little hood pins in the top flips on it. Okay. This one I fixed up where the air cleaner actually comes off. Okay, and there comes our hood off. There is our motor.
Good grief. Yeah.
And then you'll see the radiator with electric fans in it. Now, for underneath it, so you'll know this is what they call, it's got a third member chassis. So you got your support bar runs and hooks to the differential. Jim and him did a fantastic job on that. This car has a right-hand side panhard bar. Okay. You see your oil reserve tank right there. Of course, your engine and transmission line up. The sump pump and everything clears your rack and pinion just like it's supposed to. By scale, it's clearing at about 3 inches, and that is exactly right on the car. It's tight. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you when you get ready to put it together. Now, we'll say this about this model, and I want everybody to remember this. You make sure when you're doing your chassis that you glue your pins together tight on your chassis, because if not, your model starts growing. And this car has the body panels that you all put together to make the body just like you do a real modified.
That was the thing that I noticed about that 3D printed prototype that's what got me excited, is the bodies panels were all separate like a real race car. I thought that was great.
Yes. And that's a biggie, because most people don't understand it, that's how this car is. It doesn't have a body that just goes down on it, and nor do the other ones. They're all put together. And I think because so many model companies, and hold on just a second, I'm trying to put this part back on so we don't lose it. I think people don't understand it. So let's back that up with something. Now this was the very first test shots built. This one has the bubble hood on it. There's that little panel. I had glued that on because we knew it was going to travel around. But this one has the very first very first test shots. This is when we started finding a little, we got to do this. We got to do that. But when you put this one, see your top panel goes in a little bit different on this because of the way the bubble hood's made. Okay, we'll put that up there a little bit closer.
Yeah.
How's that work? That look pretty good.
Perfect. Yeah.
So here's where the people that are good, really good, solid model builders are really gonna just go, ooh, here's my day. There's how nice the detailing is in this kit.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay. It's all separate pieces. This model has right at 140 pieces in it. Okay. Now, you think about your average model car that you build. The average model car build has got anywhere that's a 125th scale like this. It's got anywhere from about 107 to 123 parts. This one's got 140 parts. Doesn't mean you use all of them because you got two different hoods and a couple of other parts like that. You got a motor that you can build with the distributor in the front, a motor you can build with the distributor in the back. But, here's where you're really going to enjoy this. What good work that Jim Rogers did. I'm going to show you all something. This is a sneak preview, but it's something that we had been messing with. And we knew we were on spot with this thing when we did this. So here we go. Our tires are just perfect. Now, the new tires will be more rubbery than these are. These were made over in China when they tested the molds. But we've got the Hoosier decals that you put on them. And I scuffed this one up a little bit. This is your 5-wide rim. Now on this one, I took the drill, my little pin vise drill, and where the lug nuts were, there's a hole on the back side. And all I did was just drill those lug nuts out. Okay. Look what a beautiful rim.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay. All right. All I've done with this one too is sprayed it with some Molotov. Our 5-wide hub, I painted this one satin black so you all could get a little bit better look at it. Okay. It's a rear hub.
Bring it up. Bring it up just a little bit. Let's see that. Bring it up there. There
we go. Catch a little light a little better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
And you can see the lug nuts. The lugs on it, not the lug nuts, but the actual lugs themselves.
The lugs, yeah.
Okay. Now watch this. You will take this and line this wheel up and push that lug through that hole like so. And I'm trying to keep it in front of the camera for you all to see, and then me try to do it myself, and it's almost impossible to do.
Yeah, that's
hold on just a second.
No problem.
Yeah, again, that's what happens when you don't have my right eyes on. Now, there we go, folks.
Yeah, look at
now
that.
Look at that baby. Your lugs come through it, and they look fantastic. Let me turn that thing to where you can see the light down in it. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
When you've got that kind of, folks, this takes modeling to a new level. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm talking about, investing into your hobby from us on our side of building products. When you've got this kind of product, you as the hobbyist are getting premium quality something, and this is a $44.95 kit. This is the kind of kit that you would see to me or those kind of people produce, and you're looking at it and saying, I love that kind of kit. I just don't know if I can justify spending $129 or not. If I take it home, I don't know if she's going to shoot me or he's going to shoot me or whatever, and I think that's the difference. You look at our decals, look at the quality, the decal. It's unreal. Let's see here. Let me look at the ones right here. Is the silver that goes on the valve covers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And look at the gauges. Look at the gauges. I mean, there is just all kinds of really, really nice quality decals. And you got to remember on this car, it has an orange. It has a fluorescent type orange. It's got a different completely code to it. It's got a bright red in it, and then it's got a white. And yet on our decal sheet, nothing bleeds through. Okay.
Nice.
But that's because if we're going to make it right, if we're going to make it, let's do it the right way.
Well, you
So
went to
we
one of the
did that.
best with Cartograph.
Oh yeah. Now the only slick is it takes a little longer for them to get you done, but because they stay so busy. But yeah. So this is what a tree looks like. It's got all the body parts on it. Now this one was painted red because we've already been sizing for another race team for the decals and make sure that something doesn't bleed through. But here is one of the sprues that has all the body parts. Now you'll notice your two different hoods. You'll notice your right side body panel, but look at the left side body panel. What's missing? You see you see your A-pillar post?
Oh, let me see the other side. Well, oh, okay. All right. I see what you got.
But you know why you don't have that? Because 90% of the new teams now are all running a new clear A-pillar post that goes in.
Oh, you went that way.
So we changed that in midstream and changed this thing when we realized that. And this way you can still paint it, like you could paint this one the red and still have your clip right here that catches the windshield and everything if you wanted to, or you can run it like the new cars and it has the clear one.
Great option. That was a smart move.
There's your
move.
windshield, and there's your clear spoiler for the back. And notice how it has all the bracing all put in there. You just need to drag you a silver pin right over top of that. Okay. So we did our homework, folks. We actually knew what the heck the car was supposed to be.
You were taking your time with this. There was no rushing it.
No, well, we were going to do it right because we had to start from the ground up.
Yeah.
So let's look at this one. This is the other side. These were double molds that were made. So here is the one that's got the frames to it. This is your frame pieces, and this one. There's your dash. Got your inspection cover where you look through into where the reservoirs are for the master cylinder, for the slave cylinder, for the clutch, and for the master cylinder. There's your top bars that goes all the way across. There's your bottom panel that goes in. That's where your battery box is. Okay. So there is your whole basic roll cage for you. Whole chassis.
Yeah. That looks like that's from the prototypes because that's unpigmented styrene right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What color will those parts be?
They're going to be in white in this first kit. This one and this are actually together. They're actually hooked. Hold on. They actually hook right here. We just separated them.
So all that in the first kit that's coming out, they're all going to be in pigmented white. Okay.
This will. Okay. Now these next two trees will be pigmented and the aluminum base.
Okay. I like that.
I think that's actually what Chad and them do over there. I think it's actually going to be called raw metal base, but I call it aluminum.
It looks good. Yeah.
But these two are like this. This is a double. So this one has your motor block. There is your front engine mount and your rear engine mount and your bell housing. And you got to remember this motor is completely bought backwards. The starter goes in from this side and catches the gear and turns it, and it's not in the front of the motor block in the front and comes in this way. Okay, it's completely different in these types. Okay. There is all your belt and pulley mechanism that runs your sump pump and your alternator and your power steering. There's a carb. There's your training pieces. There's your radiator hose. There's your sump pump oil pan. There's your 5-watt hubs, front and rear. There's your disc brake, and there's your brake, disc brakes with the hubs already with the backside of the hub in it, the wheel bearing. And then there's your brake calipers right here. Right here is your brake calipers.
Nice. Oh, that's great. I love those separate.
All right. And then here's your heads. These are the brace bars that are for the spoiler that hook into the chassis. This is your rear aluminum push bar. Okay, it's aluminum channel, and that's where it mounts onto the frame right there, just like it really does on the race car. Okay. There's your headers are just about as sweet as you could ask, the way they go in and slide into the head. They'll actually have little notches on them, and they go right into the head and click, and then you just glue them right there. Now this is killer.
Yeah.
And this is where people ought to just really just go ooh and realize we had our ducks in a row, and what a great job Jim Rogers did. Right here is your radiator. I'm going to get this thing up here and try to tilt it for you. Look at the wiring harness that's on there for your electric fans.
See that? Nice. It's
this
nice
radiator grill is
and that's
perfect.
not going to be hard to paint either, because you got that
no.
raised really nice. I like that.
Most of those
stuff.
most of that wiring is usually in a yellow shrink tubing. They do that to keep it protected a little bit there in the front. Okay. But that's good. There's your separate water pump and everything that goes on the front. So there's that tree done. Okay. This one, here we go. Now there's our third member support bar that gets painted aluminum. Yeah. There's your differential, and you're really going to love how he set this thing up for it to hook and go in. It is so sweet that it slides up in your transmission and goes right back and catches on a collar on the quick change differential. Okay. Fantastic job. There's your pedals I was telling you about that already have their slave cylinders and reservoirs hooked to them.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
Here is the MSD ignition box. There, and those cars have what they call a rocker roller gas pedal. So there it is. There's your front A-arm supports. There's your differential tubings right here. And you're going to like, right there they are, how they clip and go in. Here is the main head to your differential. This is like it's really made. And then you got your two bolt-on cones right here. And the detail and the bolts on cones is just unreal. There we go. I think you can see the bolts now.
Step it back just a little bit. It'll probably focus a little bit. Yeah.
But that help?
Yep. That's how like a old Franklin quick change bolts together.
Yeah. So there's that tree. Now here's the one that's going to be a surprise for everybody.
We didn't get surprised yet.
Oh no, we haven't got to the goodie parts. Okay. Now this one's missing one of the rims. It's off down in the baggie that come with it. But this is how this tree is made. Now here is your inner panels that go in the back. Okay, 4 pieces. You really get into detail in this thing. You can leave this one loose and not glue it in. And that way you can pull it up and you can look at your fuel filler and everything and your fuel pump and everything on the inside. Okay, so detailing it is just going to be out the roof. Okay, there's how nice the air cleaner and the bottom backing plate and everything for it is.
Yeah.
And here is your sump pump tank here and here. These 2 pieces go together. Talking about making it for the plumb, it's going to be beautiful. He did an outstanding job on the valve covers. And here is all our Nerf bars. Okay. And there is the rim's backside. So you've got a 2-piece rim, and then you put it on your hub. Now, what's going to happen with this piece later on, folks, won't happen in the first few kits. But down the road, we made this kit like it. This one particular one, Jim did all the work on this. We talked about it. Oh, excuse me. We put it together. Your big Nerf bars down the side, and you can see how one of them's a lot wider than the other.
Yeah.
Hope that'll show up a little bit. Yeah. So you got a lot bigger because remember, it's 14 inches off center. The car runs 14 inches off center. There's your front one that everybody beats and bangs on, and Burt Myers is kind of a Dayglow orange. And there's the ones that on the back, and these little pieces on the end right here catch on the end of your aluminum channel push bar bumper. But eventually, this will end up being a chrome tree.
Oh.
There will be an accessory kit that comes out. They'll clip this side off right here, and this part all in here will be molded in nylon, and then we'll send it to the chromers where they'll dip it in aluminum first, and then they chrome it with the real chrome that Salvinos has put on there. So you can build yourself a showstopper. That's what they call the guys that run the modifieds that have a lot of chrome on them. They call them a showstopper. Okay.
Nice.
Or showboater. Some of them call them a showboater.
Showboater.
And so
or Target.
That's going to have the availability to do that, folks. So
nice.
You're going to have a lot of options going down the road. We planned this thing to run for a pretty good while. We didn't plan it to do a flash in the pan and hey, we're over and done with.
Yeah.
All right. And then when that accessory kit comes out, it'll have 4 of these beautiful little tires with it.
Really? Oh, that's nice.
And also a set of Hoosier decals inside it too.
Oh, that's nice.
And the decals are already made for it, so it'll have a set of Hoosier decals. So we've got a lot of plans going down the road, and we've already been in talks to a couple of other teams. And we had already planned on doing 2 Burt Myers cars. And of course, there'll be more coming down the road, but we've had a couple teams from up in the Northeast now that have contacted us and, hey, what does it take to do our model of our car?
That's pretty cool.
So let's show a couple other little things. When you get your new box, when you buy your this will be the very first kit coming out. And again, it'll tell you that it's got cardiograph decals on it. Okay. And on the side, it tells you about the upcoming accessory kit. And it shows the chrome wheels, the chrome air cleaner, the chrome Nerf bars. Okay. And each one of these kits are limited edition. This one was actually the box's autographed by Jim Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually working on a deal right now. We're not certain if we're going to do it or not, but we're thinking about it, that we might put out in the mix of all the boxes, there might be a few of the boxes that will be signed by the drivers.
Oh, how cool.
So
that's cool.
What's going on. We're really excited about it. I think when people end up seeing one that's built all the way through.
Yes. That's a good looking car. That's a good start.
I'm sorry, but if you're a modeling guy and you're a racer too, that's just sexy.
Yeah, 100%. The big thing, I have wanted to do a Asphalt modified for 30 years, and I've always tried to figure out, and I collect up parts and try to figure out a way to do it, and now I don't have to work so hard. Glad I waited.
Well, I mean, you look at that, and you know, and I think that's a lot of people always look at me like, the car just looks different. It looks weird or something. It's because it's 14 inches out. It's 14 inches out of center.
That is.
But then coming down the road. So how about if we surprise people with something?
Okay, I'm up for that. I like surprises.
We've been working on, and this will be our next project that will be out probably, I would feel like probably about the end of the first quarter of next year.
A nice trailer to go along with it.
Nice trailer, and it's got a 2-tire rack on top. So you can put your Hoosier tires up on top. And you got 2 racks of them, like a rail racer does. And it's wide enough. Hold on just a second. It's wide enough for our race car to sit right up on, just like it's supposed to.
Oh, that is nice.
And
that is a nice trailer.
How's that for a little surprise, maybe out of the gate for people?
That is a very, I mean, there's been some trailers made in the past, but that thing looks like it's got some detail. I like how you, and I don't think they've ever done that before in any other 25th scale. It's never been like that where it's got the slant down and all that. Like,
all the others did it the backwards way.
Yeah,
they slanted it forward, and it's not supposed to slant forward. It's supposed to be a teardrop back.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy that was good. That was a cousin of the Flemings, and he is dead now. Super good guy, Terry Mills, and he passed away years ago. Terry used to work on all of our Wisdom Cup trailers. And he also did all the work for Richard Childress Racing on all their trailers, souvenir trailers, car trailers, everything. Was a heck of a good guy, had a sudden accident and passed away. But he was a cousin to the Flemings, and he owned a company. He built those trailers just exactly like that. It was called Carolina Trailers.
Oh, yeah, I know who they are. I've heard of them.
We thought, hey, Frank and them used to race like that. And Chris even said one night, he said, you know what you need for that model car of yours? And I said, what's that, Chris Fleming? He said, you need a trailer to put it on. He said, man, he said, yeah, we all got these big fancy, we all got our feather light enclosed, and they do. They have a feather light enclosed trailer. It hauls 2 cars, carries extra motors, all that kind of stuff in it. Got a lounge up front and everything else now. But he said, man, me and Frank had our best old racing days. He said, we rode around broke as heck, and we didn't even know it. We didn't have enough sense to know that we couldn't rub 2 nickels together. We just busy racing. And he said, we had one of them trailers, and if we needed motor parts, we hoped we had them in the spare bed of the pickup. Most everybody that builds a model, the whole idea when you get done with it is that you want to display it. Well, what better way to display it than the race car sits on a trailer?
Yeah, that is a beautiful display for that race car. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's wide enough for it to fit on there, but you can also put any other kind of model on there you want to.
Yeah.
So any other model on there. So we think that's going to be a good piece going down the road. And again, it'll be a limited edition kit. So everything we're doing is a limited edition. We're not going to flood the market with them. We're going to do just like what Rick and them have been doing.
That business model works.
Yeah. And this way, nobody can think that I've got something that's down the road that you're going to see blown out somewhere. And the other thing is, I really believe that makes the value better is because you don't see this in the box stores. The only way it's going to be available, you can pre-order them through us on our website, wes'smodelcarcorner.myshopify.com. All right. Or you can get them at your local hobby shop that deals with any of the big distributors. Or they can buy them direct wholesale from us if they're, got all their paperwork. But they're not going to be showing up in Hobby Lobby, and they're not going to be showing up in a Walmart somewhere sitting on a pallet, and they're not, a box display. And I don't mean anything against those kind of people, but this is a product that's that good. I hope that helps a little bit. We're tickled to death for what we're doing with Rick and Jim.
Oh yeah, you got wrapped up with some good people there.
Oh yeah, and I thank you for giving us an opportunity to come on and be with you. My gracious, we had some good old days running around together.
Oh heck yeah, man! I've been
we're very fortunate.
Got
Doug Wright, and Tim working at the shop.
Oh yeah,
Tim
you
Mullins.
got Doug over there, huh?
Yeah, Doug Wright's there, and Tim Mullins is there.
Yeah, I heard Tim was. That's great. That's the old Pizza Hut modelers gang there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and so I'm really very fortunate. It helps me and Lisa. We could have some good sleep at nights because we know we got people on the backside that's working it. Because my whole gig was I wanted to retire, and I wanted to be able to do things like this and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But in the same token, we knew we had to have so much of a retail shop, and I don't want to be there all the time. And so I'm allergic to cold weather anyhow, so that's why I spend the winters in Florida. So, and I think that's probably why you went back to Arizona. So, but anyhow, hey, hey man, it's something we're really looking forward to.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's why I wanted to have you on here. That's why I support you guys so much. I think what you're doing is something so important to the hobby. The hobby has changed a lot. It's gotten nowhere near done. It's gotten better. I think these new business models of these small little boutique model companies like Salvinos, like Atlantis, yourself now, gee whiz, it's just wonderful. This is something that couldn't happen in our hobby 10, 20 years ago. And it's really, I think it's giving us, we're benefiting. The model car builders are benefiting big time from this. And
we got another little idea going on down the road again for the next one. It'll take us maybe a year or two to get there. But
boy.
I think when that one happens, people are going to go, ooh, ah, la, la. Let's go dancing.
Great. That is great.
I'll just
we'll
say,
have to do this again back, and when that comes up.
But I'll just say that that one would still get to use a trailer, but it sure does look pretty when it's going sideways.
Oh, geez. Oh boy, nice.
So,
I think I know what you're saying.
And ain't nothing like a 5-star body. So,
no kidding. Oh, that'll be nice. All right, now that's another one that, man, I've been. That's the kind of stuff I've been wanting to build for years.
But hey, folks, enjoyed you being with us tonight. Thank you for having us on.
Oh, please, man. Yeah. Hey, listen.
Remember the great stuff that you're going to be able to see going down the road.
Like that.
Yeah, falling out. But hey,
I'm looking so forward to that. And hey, so Wes, we got a little bit of time here. Why don't you give plug in to everything, just whatever you need to plug right now. Take that opportunity. Tell the folks where to find you.
You can find us at Wes's Model Car Corner. .myshopify.com is the website you can order, and we've got both kits on right now. They're going to be coming out by Christmas or pretty close to that. One will be in November, one will be in December. And you can pre-order those on there now. There's still some quantities left, and you can go on Facebook, go to Wes's Model Car Corner.